welcome to another episode of the Superbold podcast. I'm Fred Joyal, and I dive into amazing people that I have been lucky enough to meet and dig into the bold moves that they've made in their lives, and maybe the times they weren't so bold and they stacked a regret along the way instead. I heard this person speak about a month ago and was just blown away for two reasons: an incredible stage presence and life story, but also what they write about is like the companion book, and what they speak about is a companion book to Superbold. Their topic is, we'll go into it, but their topic is bravery and the impact that they can have. And this person is a Marine, a former Marine, with an incredible amount of science behind what they write about, and also running a leadership organization with all of the knowledge that they've gathered. And probably one of the most interesting things about it is, I've been a little evasive about it, is her name is Jill Schulman. And I'm going to hold up her book, The Bravery Effect, which I devoured. Now, this is a signed copy, so I didn't read my signed copy. I listened to the audiobook because I didn't want to.
I love audiobooks too.
Yeah, brand new copy. But Jill, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. And we met and we realized that we were like soul siblings, because I write on the science of bravery, helping people go from fear controlling them and keeping them small to learning to be brave so they can live their best life. And then you've got your Superbold, from being like underconfident to be charismatic. We're doing the same thing and we're calling it different things, but there's so many parallels. So I'm so excited about this conversation.
We even use some analogies that are almost identical, and sometimes you'll throw out a phrase that is one of your key phrases, and I'll say, yeah, I say that. And so it's just been phenomenal. And when we met, we both said, yeah, we both need to do this, because this is what people need now more than ever. And I want to start there, because I want to get into your past, but I think people need to understand why you're so passionate about this, why this is so critical now.
I'd say one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about this is I just look at the current state of the world, and I sometimes see the world through the eyes of our young people. So I've got two teenage daughters, 18 and 20. So I guess one of them's not a teenager anymore. But I feel, and I shouldn't say I feel like, the data supports this, the younger generation has never had a higher level of diagnosed depression and anxiety, where a younger generation is running away from what they fear, and they're always seeking ease and comfort. We just always want what's easy. Let's do what's comfortable. And if something is uncomfortable or challenging or stressful, that's bad for us. So we should run the other way. And what that is doing to our younger generation is it's not making them happier. And this is what I want everyone to understand, is we sometimes think that in order to be the happiest, and I'm someone who's got a degree in the science of happiness, positive psychology from Penn, right? In order for people to live our happiest life, then we just want ease and comfort and everything to be great and just like rainbows and butterflies all the time. And that is absolutely not the truth. If you want a life of less fulfillment, of anxiety and depression, then always seek comfort and ease, right? And so I think our younger generation, they're confused, and it's not their fault. Like, they're being told a lie that, oh, if something is scary and it makes you uncomfortable, then it's okay and we'll protect you and we'll just give you a pass. And that's just not the truth. That's really where my passion comes from. Is really, I wrote the book for my daughters, but I wrote it for the younger generation. And of course, my clients are businesses, and it's all people, right? People want to be the most successful. If they want the most fulfilling life, they need to learn to be brave and do hard things that are uncomfortable. And that's so aligned with your message as well. So yeah, it's my primary motivation, is looking at some of the research, like I'm a big fan of Jonathan Haidt, who wrote The Anxious Generation. He actually lectured to us at Penn. And I think he influenced the direction of my research and what I published at Penn, which is talking about how when people constantly seek comfort, it has a devastating effect on their happiness and well-being. It's like our bodies, if we always keep our bodies comfortable, our bodies become weak and sick. It's the same thing with our minds and psychology. So I'm trying to be one of the voices like you to help bring truth to the world, that if you want the happiest, most fulfilling life, you got to do hard things and seek discomfort, because that will create the most fulfilling life.
I know we beat that drum of the safest path is the most dangerous, basically.
Yeah, it really is. And it's counterintuitive, right? So this is where we got to
Yes,
keep
of
teaching
course.
people. It's counterintuitive. I'm looking in my office. I got to just share this because you just made me think of it's the path. I've got the picture of the art of Hercules making the decision. Do I go the virtuous path, which is the hard path that's going to be filled with challenges and adversity, or do I go down the hedonic path, like the easy path, right? And that story of Hercules, I have it in my office for a reason. So remind us to choose the virtuous path, the hard path, because that's going to lead to the most fulfilling. But it's so tempting to go, oh, but this road here is a life of ease and I'll have everything I ever want. Doesn't that seem like a better path? It's not. Choose the hard path. It's always the right path.
Because, and the reason I think you and I drive this home is because there are going to be times in your life where you're going to face incredible adversity and you're going to have to be resilient. And resilience isn't something you just summon when you need it. Something you build. Your boldness, your bravery is something you construct in yourself as part of who you are and what ideally that your parents are doing for you. And what we're not seeing parents doing, they're not just being helicopter parents, they're being lawnmower parents,
No power.
carving a path so that nothing bad happens to their child. You and I, we had plenty of bad things happen to us. That's where all the growth and information was.
Yeah.
And so what you and I do is exactly the same in terms of teaching. You talk about building bravery. I talk about building boldness, but we both use the analogy of how you build muscle and talk about how explain how you want somebody to build their bravery so that they're brave when it matters.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the one thing that I'm trying to bring to this body of people saying this message is to bring the scientific rigor, right? Because I studied psychology. So when I say people build their bravery muscle, I use that as an analogy so people understand the changes that happen in our brain when we do hard things, right? Now, I know a lot about the brain and how it responds when we do hard things. In fact, this is my area of passion where I'm diving more into it. And I'm going to be sharing a lot more about the brave brain in the next book that I'm writing. So I'm fascinated with
You're
this.
a full-on neuroscience geek, and I love
I
it. I dabble in it, but you are all the way in,
well,
and it just reinforces everything that we talk about. And people, and that's what people you need to understand. This isn't just impressions that we have or wishes that we have for people or some sort of thing that we'd like to teach. There's so much science behind it, and Jill really understands it.
yeah, and just
In it,
and a little bit, like I feel like there's so much more that I can learn myself, but just in general, I think so many people think that bravery is something that is a trait that you're either born with or you're not. So the first thing I want people to understand that bravery is a skill that anyone can build. And using the analogy that you and I both like to use is with a muscle. If someone just said, I'm just not strong, I'm just not strong, we would say that's ridiculous. If you're not strong, you need to go to the gym, lift things that are uncomfortable and heavy, and then progressively increase the load. And over time, you'll build strength in your muscle. So basically the exact same thing happens in our brain. So when you do something that is uncomfortable or something that is scary, so when you take voluntary action in the presence of fear, toward a noble, worthwhile goal, which is the definition of bravery, right? You're using your prefrontal cortex and your ACC. And so they're parts of your brain that are getting a workout. And if you haven't done a lot of bold things or brave things in the past, you might have a pretty weak part of your brain. So you need to start like with little things that you fear and take a step toward them, and you'll start building that bravery muscle. So what we see in MRIs and functional MRIs is our prefrontal cortex actually becomes thicker. So cortical thickening happenings, and also the ACC part of the brain, like the courage center of the brain. And then a lot of the neural pathways between the two areas light up. So we see the brain changing physically. We see the way the brain communicates and lights up, new neural pathways forming the more we do hard things. So it's not that the thing that you do becomes easier, less scary, but you get better at being brave. So the more you do this, you're going to become bolder or braver over time. It becomes easier. So just like the gym, like you go in and it's intimidating going to the gym if you don't really have any muscles, because there's a bunch of these big muscle heads there. But if you start consistently working at the muscles, you're going to get somewhere. So it's the same thing with bravery. So I'm a big advocate of teaching people, what do we know with scientific certainty is a way that you can build bravery. It's not heroic moments of running into a burning building. Like those are wonderful, brave moments. But I'm talking,
they don't come up that often.
They don't come up. And you know what, actually in those moments, usually the stakes are high and there's someone you care about that is in the building, and you will just automatically go into brave mode. I'm talking about the everyday bravery of building the muscle over time, right? So thinking of bravery isn't just those life and death moments. It's also the moments of having the difficult conversation with someone at work. There's tension, you have that, but you're scared of having the conversation, or maybe raising your hand for an opportunity that's a little bit, it's exciting, but you're a little nervous because you're doing something you've never done before. I'm an advocate of teaching people to always be leaning forward when something scares you. I want people to be curious and go like, why do you have this fear? Once in a while, it's rare that the fear is a good sign where you should perhaps move away from it, right? But it's pretty rare in modern day society. Usually the fear is more of a signpost that this is something important you should move toward. So if we're always leaning toward or moving toward what we fear, and we're trying to overcome the fear, you're going to build that bravery muscle. So I'm an advocate for people to set bold, brave goals. I'll use both your word and my word, right?
Sure.
And then work toward achieving those goals. Always have the bold, brave goal, something where you're overcoming a fear to achieve something that you really want. And over time, you're going to build such a great bravery muscle. And it's what I call the bravery effect is it builds over time. You get stronger and stronger. And when you overcome one fear, then you're going to come up with that next goal that's even bigger. And every time you do, your life gets bigger and you have a bigger impact, and your self-confidence increases, your self-efficacy increases. And ultimately, now you're going to hear me be a little bit woo-woo here because I'm not a woo-woo girl. But you know why I'm so passionate about the subject of bravery is it increases self-love. When you look in the mirror, you're proud of because you stopped letting fear control you and keep you small. You're steering your life in the direction that you want. And it's amazing what it does to you. Self-confidence, self-love increases. And that's how we overcome depression and anxiety, right? Building bravery.
And that's that poor self-image and self-esteem and eventual depression comes from giving into the fear. And instead of getting some sort of result from trying, they get a regret from not trying.
Yeah.
By playing it safe, by trying to find the comfortable path. And we both talk about, well, you have to do things, brave things, when the consequences are low. And the analogy of exercising is perfect, because if you're not uncomfortable in exercising, you're not exercising. We deliberately aim to be physically uncomfortable. And that's where the result is. But there's no negative consequence. There's a positive consequence to being uncomfortable. And there's a positive consequence to being everyday brave. Those little things. Why am I afraid of this? Why do I not want to speak up? It's because I know I should, but it makes me uncomfortable. So now I have to do it.
Yeah.
That's the flip. When that happens, when you say, I have to step up, I have to speak up, I have to ask this question, I have to have this conversation, I have to take this risk, I have to acknowledge this thing about myself that needs to change.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you say that, you bring up regret, the power of regret. And I want to just focus on that for just a moment, because according to Dr. Cynthia Puri, she's one of the leading bravery researchers in the world. She's at Clemson. And what she found in her research is one of the ways for you to make the decision in the moment to be brave is to really just think about what, if you don't take action right now on the thing that you want to, what type of a regret will you feel later? So we feel uncomfortable in the moment and we don't want to do something. But she says to really think about the discomfort of the regret that you'll feel later. So instead of just focusing on the discomfort right now and not wanting to do it, she says when people really emphasize like how uncomfortable am I going to feel later and how painful will that regret feel later, when people think about that's a great motivator for people to take action. So the little psychological trick that I share with my audiences is just ask this question: what does my future self want me to do in this moment right now? And if you answer that question, you allow your future self to coach you, and your future self is going to be the one to give you the advice on the right thing to do. And it's also the differentiation between taking like the noble, brave action and avoiding the stupid, brave things. Like, for example, if I'm at a Christmas party and someone says, I dare you to do 5 shots of tequila, and I ask myself, what does my future self want me to do? All right, that's not a good one. I'm not going to do that. That is not a smart decision. Or if I'm in a situation where I have an idea or I have a concern and I'm a little scared to bring it up, and I ask myself, like, what does my future self want me to do right now? It's speak up, because it's important that you speak up right now. So there's a little trick for your audience is in those moments where you sometimes are challenged to do the hard thing and you're allowing fear to control you. So you're choosing to cower, which is defined as allowing fear to control you and hold you back, versus being brave, which is stepping forward. Just ask yourself that question. And it sometimes is all you need to have, that oomph to take that step forward. What does my future self want me to do right now? And so for sometimes I ask myself, what does my 5 p.m. self want me to do right now? Or what does my Friday at 5 o'clock want me to focus on getting done today? It's a powerful question. And it usually will lead you to make the right decision.
Wow, I love that as an exercise. It's almost, what does my self driving home want to be feeling looking back? And take it to the extreme when I talk about it. I talk about the regrets people have on their deathbed. It's always about the things they didn't do, the things they didn't say, the things they didn't try. And it's never about, oh, this went badly, or this, it's like that business went under. I should have never tried it. No, it's like, I tried it. I learned a lot. We had a great time and we lost everything, but it was not a big deal. But I should have fixed my relationship with my brother. I hadn't talked to him in 20 years, and he came to visit me on my deathbed, and it made me so incredibly sad. That's what it took.
Exactly.
And it's like, this is the end of the line, people. Don't get there. But also do what Jill's saying. Like, what is next week, next month's, next year's self going to think about this, going to say to you about what you ought to have done instead of what you didn't? And when you used a word that I think is really interesting, because I love words and their roots and stuff like that. If you're giving into fear, you're cowering. And that word is the same root as coward, cowardice. That's what cowardice is. Instead of stepping into the fear, you are recoiling, you are cowering from it. And that's what we don't want you to cower and realize it may not go right, but you're going to be able to live with stepping into the ring and getting a beating much more than you're going to be able to live with playing it safe every step of the way.
And never getting into the arena. Yeah, exactly. And I use the word cower very intentionally. I say things that are provocative because I want to make people uncomfortable and really think about it. Because if you challenge me and say, are you going to choose to be brave or are you going to choose to cower? That's going to go, I'm going to look at it a lot more carefully, right? Now, I don't want to call someone a coward because I want to always be always looking at people's behavior and just let people know that when it comes to bravery, right, we have a decision. Do we step forward in the presence of fear toward a noble, worthwhile goal, or do we step back? And it's a decision about a behavior, right? Now, if you continually decide to take a step forward, right, in the presence of fear toward a noble or worthwhile goal, then you become a brave or a courageous person, right? So I just want people to know it's like you have agency or choice in your behavior. So just think of every day you've got these little opportunities to make a choice, just like we have a choice every day if we're going to go into the gym and work out. And there's a cumulative effect. It's the compound effect of being brave consistently that has this effect on your overall success. You'll be more successful at work. You're going to be happier. You're going to have a bigger impact. It's amazing. It's why I decided to name the book The Bravery Effect. It's because it's the effect it has on people's life. It's not about just being macho and looking like you're brave for others. It has a profound impact on your life satisfaction. And that's where, as you read the book or you listened to the book, like I've got all the science in the back of saying we told it as a parable so people really can learn bravery through an easily relatable story. But then there's all the science in the back. Like everything that I have in my book, everything I speak about is based on positive psychology. It's based on cognitive psychology and behavioral psychology and social psychology. People do the things that we're recommending. I'm not just this former Marine that just says, just do what I say and you can be like me. That doesn't really matter. I can share my stories, but I want people to know that these are things that have been researched. If you work on your mindset, if you work on your behavior, if you work on leveraging your relationships in order to step toward things that you really want, but you're scared of it, it has this profound impact. Hopefully the combination of using some provocative language and then giving people the logical science will really motivate people to start working on building their bravery.
Yeah. And we're not saying that if you don't do this, you're a coward. We're saying that in some of these moments, be honest with yourself. You're behaving in a cowardly way. You are cowering. And that's when I talk to people, I say, like, when you talk, oh, I'm a shy person. It's really, you want to label yourself that you're shy 100% of the time? I really don't think so. With your best friend, not with your people in your family at Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever, you behave in a shy way sometimes. And sometimes we go easy on ourselves and we behave in sometimes with a cowardly way. And don't be so easy on yourself. Go, yeah, that was some chicken shit that, that I should have fired that person and I gave him another chance. And now I gave him 90 days and I got to live with him being here another 90 days underperforming. The whole team watches.
Yeah.
And now so this is like the real world everyday applications where Jill has been in the armed forces. She knows what it's like to face real danger and real risk and real physical challenge. But what we're talking about is this everyday stuff that matters so much, and it aggregates. And there's a section in my book that talks about the neuroscience of it. The important thing to remember is not only do you create new neural pathways when you act in a brave way in these small situations that aggregate, but the hesitation and the cowering neural pathways will atrophy.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a phenomenal scientific effect.
Yeah. And it's what you made me think of. I think this is really all about creating agency, people being agentic, for people defined as, do I feel like I can create the life I want? Can I steer my life in whatever direction I want? Some people just say, this is my life and there's nothing I can really do about it. It's like bravery is required. Boldness is required if you want to live the life that you want. And, someone who studied positive psychology, so my expertise is not in people who are clinically diagnosed with disorder, depression, anxiety, schizophrenia. Those are clinical psychologists that do really important work to help those people go from miserable to just not being miserable. So the field of positive psychology is helping people that have an okay life to create a better life, or people who have a good life that want a great life. Instead of just focusing on taking away misery, why don't we help look at what's great in life and helping people create the best life that they can? And the reason I share this is I think of even myself. I think there's been times where outwardly I have a good life. I've got a good career, but I have desires to make a bigger impact or live a greater life. But sometimes you get comfortable. Like I worked in corporate America for like almost 15 years, right? And I had a great job, right? And it was exciting. But then after you have a job for a while, it becomes not quite as inspiring as it once was. So sometimes you get into a groove, which is good, but then the groove doesn't feel so groovy anymore. It becomes a little bit like monotonous, and then it feels more like a rut. But then from the outside, sometimes when we have a good job or we're in a good place, that becomes comfortable and we're like, I've got a good job. Like I should just be thankful for what I have. But I think that's where sometimes if we want to live a great life, we sometimes need to change and do things differently to have a higher impact or to make changes to live a great life. So even for me, like I was in corporate America, supposedly like on the outside looked like this great life, but I was a little bit bored. I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I started my own business, and that required bravery to start my own leadership development company. And then after having my company for 8 years, I was doing kind of the similar work for my clients. And I got to that same point. I don't know if you feel this way, but about every 7, 8, 9 years, I have this hunger to make a bigger impact. So that's when I decided to go back to school and do my own research, right? So I share my own story because I've always had this dream that I wanted to be on big stages, have my own book, make a tremendous impact, make a bigger impact. And I was allowing fear to even keep me small because I had a good job. I have a good job.
You were comfortable.
I
You
was
were in the
comfortable.
comfort trap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the comfort trap. Exactly. And then you think about, now that I'm an expert in this, I can look back at my own story and look at, I was allowing fear to keep me small because I'm like, oh, I have it good. I've got a good job and it's secure. So I should just stay in this safe zone. And I had a good life. But if I want to live my best life, I need to be brave enough to go after really what my heart desires. So now I feel like I'm in full alignment with what I'm passionate about. Has it been scary? Has it been hard? Yes. But I've never felt so exhilarated to be living in full alignment. So for anyone out there that's listening that you feel like, I've got, my life is fine, right? I want you to think about what would make your life great. What is your dream in life? And I want you to feel that you have the power to start making changes to make your life what you want it to be. And it's going to be scary. It's going to require bravery, but don't just stay stuck in the rut. Make those changes to create the life that you want.
And if you're afraid that you're going to fail at it many times it's because it's important to you.
Yeah.
If you weren't afraid whether you failed about it or not, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. In
And so
fact, if people don't feel fear or if they're not scared, then it's not bravery. Because my definition of bravery is voluntary action in the presence of fear toward a noble, worthwhile goal. So if you're never scared, you're not being brave. So we should be seeking that fear, running toward what you fear. And then you get addicted to it. It's exhilarating. Yeah, you're totally right.
I want to tell you this thing that happened because it's part of what I want people to understand as a parent or as a peer is I was at a concert recently with my best friend and his son, and we were there primarily because his son loved the performer. And we were sitting there. We were about 30 rows back, pretty good seats. And I noticed that people were starting to go up to the stage and that the ushers weren't doing anything about it. So I elbowed I call him my nephew. So I elbowed Luca and I said, let's go up to the front. which he never in his life would have done. He's barely 18. Has had some comfort in his life and some protection from harm. But he knows how to do the hard things, but at the same time. And so because I was there I didn't say, come on, you got to be bold. I said, come on, we're going up front. And we go all the way up to the stage.
Wow.
The look on his face as he watches this performer, because he plays guitar himself, he can see the fingering that this man is doing, sometimes 5 feet away from him.
Yeah.
He's never experienced anything like this in his life most people haven't. Most people don't get to the stage for a performer.
Yeah.
At the end of it, the performer goes all the way down the front line and fist bumps everybody who's right up at the stage.
So he had an unforgettable, the best experience ever because he decided to be bold and be brave and just go up there and do that. Yeah. And he wouldn't have had it.
All I did was show him is like, this is the reward for being bold, is it goes even better than you expected sometimes. Yeah. And it's those kind of things that you can help somebody change. It's, look, I know you're scared. You're worried that people, they run all of this stuff in their head. Oh, somebody's going to stop me. I went, yes, very likely. But let's find out if they do. Let's let them stop us, not us. And that was the deeply embedded lesson I wanted to come away. Is nobody stopped us, including us. And especially us.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's really powerful. I love it. Yeah, he'll remember that day for so many reasons and hopefully keep that lesson with him moving forward. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you apply these same principles, if you're helping, whether it's a team member or a friend or your child, remember you have to control the intensity of that movement out of their comfort zone, especially if you've made them pretty comfortable. It's just like the gym is, you need to get in shape. Here, we're going to start benching 250 pounds because that's how strong you want to be. So we're going to put 4 plates on each side. No, you control the dosage, you control the intensity, you control the weights and the reps. Mm-hmm. So that you get progressively stronger, so that you are strong. And I tell people this, the other analogy that I love about physical work is like athletics is Serena Williams does squats with hundreds of pounds of squats. At no point in tennis is she squatting with hundreds of pounds on her back. What the heck is she doing squats for? So she's strong through 6 sets of tennis in the course of a day because she's been squatting. She's been doing the incredible, difficult thing with no consequences so that when the consequences were serious, she had the power.
Yeah.
She had the strength.
Yeah. It's like proactively build the bravery instead of waiting until something happens, you have to be. So I think we're really aligned there. So I'm not a resilience speaker, like helping people just get up when something gets hard or when a challenge comes their way. I want people to seek adversity and challenges, like going into the gym and building that bravery muscle so that they're going to be ready for anything that comes to them. So it's like the proactive building of the muscle instead of, as you said before, instead of waiting for something to happen. And I think I was just going to mention as you were sharing it is if we bring in some of the psychology research here is we're mainly talking about take the step, like just go up to the front of the stage and people feel nervous about it. I want to talk a little bit about the mindset, the cognitive side that can help your audience be able to do this. A couple things that I tend to teach my clients, I mainly go into corporate America and organizations, is instead of just saying, do the thing, and if not, you're a wimp or a coward, let's talk about some of the things that hold you back. And if we look at the mindset, there's 2 things, and you read the book that I talk about is number 1 is using the power of yet, which comes from the growth mindset by Carol Dweck from Stanford. So when sometimes people think I'm scared, I'm just not good at public speaking, I couldn't get up and speak, helping people realize that they're having a fixed mindset. They think that I just can't, I could never. If you believe that it's not possible, then it's going to be really hard for you to ever take that first step. So shifting from this fixed mindset of saying, I just couldn't, I could never, to saying, I am not good at speaking in front of a group yet. Yet. So using that power of yet, what it does in your mind is makes you realize that it is possible for me to build the skill. It's not going to be easy. There's going to be some challenges and adversity along the way. It's going to be an arduous path, but I have an ability to learn that skill. So when people just realize that it's possible, it makes them feel more comfortable to do what you said, is take the little steps in those little doses. Like maybe I'm just going to share an idea in a meeting, which makes me a little bit nervous. I'm going to keep taking steps in that direction. So the power of yet is important, but also realizing that when you feel that stress, that your heart pumping, maybe starting to sweat a little bit as you're contemplating taking action and you're feeling scared, of making sure that people understand how to reframe what they're feeling to not be something that's going wrong, but it's your body preparing you to perform at your best. So I just want to cite, it's Aaliyah Crum. She's a leading research on stress mindset, or Kelly McGonigal. What they have found is if people think that stress is bad for them and those feelings of stress are bad, then they will have a negative stress response. So they're usually going to fold in those circumstances and have a negative response to stress. But if you realize that the challenges or the stress that you're feeling is your body, it's actually your body preparing you to perform at your best in moments that matter. So let's use that example. Like you're about to get up and share your idea in front of your peers in a meeting, right? You're feeling nervous and your heart is pumping and you're starting to sweat a little bit. This is actually your body going, we need more oxygen, right? We need more breathing. We need blood everywhere because we're going to do something really important. So we're going to get our whole body ready. So just to do some reframing and feeling like this is my body excited. This is my body preparing me to perform at my best. There's nothing wrong. Like when I'm feeling there's nothing wrong, this is exactly how I should be feeling. And that helps people feel more comfortable in taking that step. So a couple things on the cognitive side, like realizing that we have an ability to develop skills, growth mindset. Number two, that when we experience stress, that's what's going to make us stronger. Experiencing those physiological manifestations of stress is our body preparing us to perform at our best. That makes it sometimes easier to take that step.
And this whole idea of reframing it as I'm not good at public speaking, which is a negative, which is you have built a barrier around yourself to cannot advance at that point.
Yep.
To I am not good at public speaking yet. Now that just means, as you said, now there's a pathway. Now I just have to lay out the steps between here and there, which is how anybody gets anywhere and achieves anything really fulfilling in life. If it were easy, everybody would be doing it, and they are doing it. The most satisfying stuff is the hard stuff.
It is.
In the end, it's when you challenged yourself and when you were afraid. And when I tell people, they say, aren't you afraid of speaking? I would be so anxious I couldn't speak if I were on stage. And I said, I've just turned all of the anxiety, which is still there in some form, into energy.
Yeah.
And I say, I can't wait to get on stage.
Yeah.
I can't wait to take this anxiety and turn it into energy. And as a speaker, what I know is that within 30 seconds, as you start to bring that energy to the audience, away you go. And the anxiety is completely gone. Nothing can go wrong. It doesn't matter how bad it looks like, even to them. I've had terrible things happen to me on stage, and I've totally blanked on stuff on stage. And I just turn to the audience and I say, who knows where I was before I went off on that tangent? And somebody knows.
Yeah. And it's okay.
Oh, no, I can't remember my speech. I'm going to leave the stage.
Yeah, you're right. It's like the first 2 minutes go by and you just get comfortable. It's like jumping out of an airplane. I don't know if you've gone skydiving. I did it on my book launch day. Like the first 2 to 3 seconds are terrifying and then it's actually really calm. So I think it's like anything, like it's just taking the first step. That's the scariest part. And then you settle in. Yeah. And then if you look at what Albert Bandura taught us, one of the leading psychologists that discovered self-efficacy, he said a lot of people think that the way to build confidence is you wait until you feel ready and then you do something, right? And he said, no, when he studied it, he goes, in order to build self-efficacy, that's absolutely the wrong way to think about it. It's when you don't feel quite ready and you take a step and then it goes okay. And then you take another step and you feel a little bit nervous and then it goes okay. And you take another step that's a little bit bigger. It's taking the steps when you don't feel ready. That's how you build confidence. So I think so many of us think of, oh, I'm going to wait until I feel ready. Once I'm not 100% confident yet, so I'm not going to take action. And that is actually the opposite of the way to think about it. So I just want everyone to realize, like, if you're feeling a little bit nervous, there's something really exciting and now you got to do your work to prepare, like study and get ready and practice whatever, like you're going to say in front of people. But if you're feeling a little bit nervous, that's exactly where you should be. And that's how you build confidence, is taking a step forward on shaky knees and it goes okay. So the way we build confidence is taking a step before we feel 100% ready. So how many times have we had a dream, something we really want, and we're like, I really want to do that, but it's just the timing's not right. Timing's not right means that I'm scared and I'm choosing to cower, or I'm just not confident yet. So just listen to your internal dialogue. What do you really want? And what are the excuses you're telling yourself? Like, many times you're waiting until you feel confident. No, you just got to it's like you said, take the little steps, right? Like, in order to do that hard thing, there's probably 50 steps to be able to get there. Take the first step within a week and take the next step. That's the only way we build it, is taking the steps forward.
And that whole, I just want to be ready. And I tell people, like, if you wanted to learn to play guitar, you could read a lot of books on guitar playing. And you know what? That first time you picked up the guitar and tried to play it, you wouldn't be able to play it. It would sound terrible. If you pick up the guitar and start playing it, it will gradually sound better. My nephew Luca also plays the viola, and stringed instruments that don't have frets, man, do you sound bad when you're learning to play those things, because you have to know exactly where to put your fingers, or it's a half step up or a half step down. Get good at sucking. Embrace the suck. I think you say that. Do you say that?
I do, and I just had hats made. So here's my most popular sticker is embraces that.
In my presentation that says that, and then when I heard it in your book, I went, "Oh, she goes again."
Yes, right? Embrace this. It's so important. But you're right. Like, when it's hard and you're feeling uncomfortable, embrace it. Like, that's where the magic is happening. So that is so true. I love your example with playing the guitar too. So many people think, okay, I want to play the guitar. I'm finally going to get brave enough. I'm going to try it. Oh my gosh, it doesn't sound good. See, I'm not good at this, and then they quit. So it's also realizing that the road to developing any skill or accomplishing anything, there's going to be ups and downs. So, might have a good day or a bad day. And when things go wrong or they're not great, that's just part of the learning curve. So expect there to be ups and downs. The best guitar players out there, they didn't pick up a guitar pick on day one and sound great. They practiced and got through the struggles to become great. So just realize there's going to be ups and downs. And on the down days, feel comfortable asking for help. Like, who's great at playing the guitar, and say, I'm really having a hard time with this chord. Can you help me? Ask for help, right? It can help you get over those slumps faster when we can be brave enough to be vulnerable. This is what I talk in companies a lot too. Like, many people think, like, I'm the bravest person ever and I can do everything by myself. I don't need any help. And that's just being stupid, right? I want people to set those bold, brave goals that when they achieve it, they're going to feel so great about themselves, and then realize on the path to achieving that goal, there's going to be good days and there's going to be bad days where it's going to be really hard. And when you have those hard days, I want you to reach out to people that can help you get through the slump, people that have the expertise, people that have the wisdom, that have been through what you've been before. They're going to say, you got this. The same thing happened to me. I struggled just like you. And when they tell you that, you're like, what? You're great at playing guitar, or you great at writing books. Are you serious?
You're natural. Yeah. I just wasn't before.
Exactly. And then when they tell you that they struggled the same way, you're like, oh, there's nothing wrong with me. This is just the learning process. I really try to teach people, like, part of bravery is not saying, I can do it by myself. It's acknowledging when you're struggling and then reaching out to what I call the brave tribe, the people that you can reach out to that are not going to let you tap out and quit, but the people that are going to encourage you, put courage into you to keep going. And that's a sign of strength. And when we learn to be brave enough to acknowledge our struggles and ask for help, it develops collaboration in the workplace. It accelerates our goal achievement. So that is what courage looks like. And I sometimes use examples of in the Marine Corps. If you are pinned down and you need help, the stupidest thing ever is for you just to run into bullets and like, what is the mission? And if you need help, we want you to call for support, call in artillery or mortars or close air support to get the help that you need so that we can accomplish the mission. So brave warriors, they know when they should acknowledge they're in a tough spot and they need to ask for support. So that's what brave warriors do. They ask for support. I want to try to help people overcome this misnomer that brave people never need help. That's not true.
It's uncomfortable to ask for help because it's you saying, I don't think I'm good enough. It's like admitting what we all are, which is imperfect. Because we want everybody to think we're perfect and we're already good at stuff. Or we only want to do the stuff we're really good at because we never want to fail again. But it's that thing that, and I want to go all the way back to asking for help in any situation. All great people get coaches. You and I have coaches that tell us where we're not good. And that's the only way we're going to get better is we can't even sometimes tell. We may know, geez, I'm not good, but I don't know why I'm not good. What am I missing? Somebody just goes, oh, this is because you do this. Oh, yeah, okay. I do that.
Yeah, I love what you're saying because the most successful people, they have coaches and they're always asking for feedback. Instead of just some people are defensive with feedback, which is not the way to be, right? Because everyone's going to get feedback at work. There's some people that they can take feedback when it's given to them, which is okay. You're in the moderate area, but the most successful people, they seek feedback. They go ask the question to people they look up to. Go back to the guitar player, like someone who really wants to become a great guitar player. They should seek out people who are great at the guitar and say, will you listen to me here? And will you give me a tip on how I can be better? So be comfortable asking for feedback and be vulnerable enough to ask.
Or be uncomfortable asking for feedback and ask anyway.
And ask anyway. Exactly. And then listen to that wisdom. If you think about it, you're going to be so much more successful faster if you can be asking for that feedback and listening to it instead of figuring it out on your own. Yeah. So true.
I've asked for feedback and sometimes I get it and it's a little more intense than I was hoping for. It's a little more exact, let's say. And I blush fairly easily. So sometimes people will see me blush because, wow, am I that bad? Am I sucking at this in more than I even thought? But it's, I would like a realistic picture. Particularly like I'm always trying to get better on stage. It's very hard for me to critique myself. I can watch my videos sometimes and see something, but not like I used to watch videos of myself and go, what are you doing? But now it's when I have a coach, they're like this, and it's just, there's a split second of, I don't like the feedback. I am not enjoying the feedback. You may not enjoy the feedback,
but embrace the suck.
Yeah. If you're just listening to this, Jill has a little sticker that she was holding up like a bumper sticker. I think she slaps it on people's back at parties when they don't know it, and it just stays there and they walk around. Need it.
It's such a important thing for us to be asking for the feedback that is sometimes hard to hear. And if you can get good at that, and I love you say sometimes it's hard to hear. One thing I learned from Adam Grant, he's an organizational psychologist from the Wharton School of Business. And so he's affiliated at Penn. And he gave a little hint, and I want to share it with your audience too. Sometimes when you ask people for feedback, because they're scared of giving feedback that might hurt your feelings. So a lot of times they'll say, no, everything was great. Everything was great. Now, if you pay a coach, it's different. But if you're asking someone for feedback, what he recommends is instead of just saying, can you give me some feedback? Ask it this way instead. Say, would you please give me 1 or 2 suggestions on how I can improve my performance or take my performance to a higher level? When you ask it that way, it's viewed as a gift or something positive that they want to give you versus tell you something you're doing wrong. I want to take my performance to the next level. Can you just give me one or maybe two suggestions on what I can do to fine tune and get a little bit better? Then the person you're asking is going to feel obligated and positive, and they're going to want to tell it to you. So there's a little hint for how to ask for it in a way that you're probably going to get a really good, honest answer.
Yeah. And if you get really specific, it gives them a way in. And because you can say, look, I know when I present that I feel really good talking, but what do you think of my slides? And then they'll say, most of your slides are really good, but the other thing that you do is you pace. All of a sudden, they tell you the real thing.
Yeah.
But Jill, I want to be respectful of your time because we could talk about this. Obviously, we are both extremely passionate about this, and I hope people realize this. I can't recommend you. If you can see behind me, you can see my bookcase. There's a space because this is where Jill's book was, right there in the middle on the shelf of must-read books. The Bravery Effect by Jill Schulman. Get yourself on Amazon, get a hardcover and an Audible because those are two ways to absorb information. And Jill is a tremendous keynote speaker and a corporate coach at the highest level of leadership. So take advantage of it. Jill, how can they track you down?
Yeah, just my website. And my website, I'm trying to give away as much as I can for free. So I'd love for you to buy the book, but also just go to my website. There's a free bravery assessment. My website is my name.com. So jillschulman.com, SCHULMAN. Go to my website, take the free bravery assessment, and then it gives you a free bravery blueprint. It's going to ask you what's the thing you really want. It's going to give you some tips on the mindset, the behavioral psychology, the social psychology. So I want you to be able to immediately apply, and it's a great companion. And then, so please go to my website and get that. And then also, like, I'm on all the social media platforms. My biggest presence is on LinkedIn. So it's just my name on LinkedIn, Jill Schulman. I'm also getting uncomfortable. So I'm being brave to do a better job on Instagram and Facebook. You can find me there as well, but follow me. I make a commitment to my audience to give at least 3 different posts a week, little reminders of little things that will help you build that bravery muscle. We all need those little bits of wisdom and encouragement each day. So if you follow me, I'll always give you evidence-based little tips or motivation to be your boldest, bravest self.
And if you're afraid to take the free bravery assessment, then you really need to take it. So go to the website, Jill Schulman, SCHULMAN. Check her out immediately. It'll be in the show notes too, but don't wait for the show notes. Immediately go on Amazon and go to her website.
Great.
Jill, so awesome to spend time with you. Let's do this again really soon. And everyone, track Jill down and get out there and seize the moments.
Carpe diem. Yes. Awesome. All right. Thanks again for having me. I had so much fun chatting with you.
All right. Thank you, Jill. Bye, everybody.